See everybody but Michael.
He's over there being incognito. I don't know about that.
Incognito, yes.
Hey, everyone.
I normally say that, but I try not to say it. We're a mixed company.
Well, you have, Judge, you conduct yourself whatever way you see.
Right. We cuss on the show. Yeah. So, greetings for anybody who's watching this later. We, as you know, if you've seen the show before, we go live a few minutes early, give everybody a chance to get here, everybody a chance to share the video. So we are here, but we're not going to start the official discussion right away. If you are watching right now, what we need you to do is share the live video and comment so we know you're here. I'm going to go and tag Michael and the judge in the live video so that they can see my tag and then share it.
All right.
And I usually try to ask like a kind of an icebreaker BS question while we're trying to concentrate on sharing things. So that question today is going to be, what's the last TV series that you binged? Which, by the way, that question comes courtesy of my wife. So anybody who feels like answering that question if they can do multiple things at once, unlike me, I'm struggling just to ask the question and tag you guys at the same time. I spelled Judge Collins's name wrong already.
And in Lovecraft County.
Today is going to be.
Sorry.
Go right ahead. Here.
I think I shared it correctly. I see a screen.
So let me ask you this. So when I share this, how does my
tag you guys at the same?
Uh-oh.
It happens to all of us. What's the question?
Okay.
What was the question?
No, that was just.
Is she talking? Because I think she muted herself.
No, I didn't. Oh. I just was being quiet, being polite.
Oh, okay. I thought you were in the middle of asking a question.
No, if I want to share it with my kiddo, do I just share what you sent me in
For your daughter to join us later, you mean?
Yes.
Then yes, forward her the email or the Facebook message that I sent you with the link.
Okay, perfect. That's what I'll do.
So
my answer was Lovecraft County.
I have not. That was. I've heard of it, but I haven't.
So you know what it's like? It's like if Raiders of the Lost Ark and X-Files and Get Out had a baby, and it would be a TV show. That's what.
That is a lot.
And it is. It's awesome.
So
I've been watching. I watched Ratched.
I heard that's good.
Yeah, it was good. It was not what I expected. I'll say that. It's a strong cast, and I saw One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest when I was a kid, but I don't remember a whole lot about it. So it was a new experience for me, more or less.
Judge, you're still working on sharing the videos, right?
Yes, but I'm a mom. I can multitask. Go ahead.
No, take your time. I'm just checking. I'm just checking to see. We all have. I at least have many places I have to share it from, or don't have to, but it is helpful.
Brandy, when we officially start, you'll be able to see me.
You'd think Brandy would be used to that by now.
Brandy is used to whatever Brandy is used to.
Well, plus she is partial to Mr. Bland, as all of us are.
She is.
I would assume.
Hi, Diane. Hi, Mia.
So I have one more place to share it from, I think. And I'll be sharing it throughout the night as well. Where is
I forgot I have another Facebook page. Let me do it on there too.
Do all of them. We want all the people. So we want your haters too, like we were talking about yesterday.
No.
Yeah, I agree. Ratched is okay. I thought it was a strong cast. I just I I don't know. I don't think I even really had a problem with it. It was just it was good. I wasn't floored. It was good.
I'm gonna try that one next.
Yeah.
Nia's gonna have to comment with whatever we're trying next. Oops, did this because I don't even know what's on our what's up next for us. I do know that the last one that we binged, we went back and binged Community because we hadn't seen it the first time around.
Oh, she said Watchmen.
Oh, that's next. Didn't you recommend that, Michael?
I might have, but I'm not certain. My wife and I, we've been actually, when I thought about it, over the weekend, we binged season 7 of House. Actually,
I know you love House.
Oh yeah, I like that.
I love House because I identify with House.
I know you do.
You guys seen You?
Huh?
You guys seen You? That's awesome.
Have not.
So it's like if Dexter fell in love.
Oh.
And had an object of his affection every season, and that caused him to do all the things he did.
Whoa. All right. Oh yeah, Jesse, you're actually right. The cars and the clothes and everything in Ratchet were real cool. They went all the way throwback. Yeah. You were the Netflix show. Okay, I'll be checking it out because I definitely watched all of Dexter. I've seen it. Yes, Chris Lundholm. House is the bomb.
If my leg doesn't heal, I'm gonna be House.
You gonna be House too?
Yeah, I'm gonna have the cane and the Vicodin. So
if only they could figure you out in like 1 hour, though. What's your problem in 1 hour?
Right. Well, Michael and I were just talking about that when you came on. Actually, I'm still. I was hospitalized with COVID earlier this year, and I'm still dealing with some recovering. I was. Michael can tell you the exact statistics because he remembers the numbers better than I do. But I was in the ICU for about a month and in a coma for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, 23 days in the hospital, 11 in a medicated coma on the intubator.
You look fantastic, and your mind seems to be working just fine, if not better.
I'll take it.
Yeah, his head's all right. It's just he's still his body is still coming along, and he's got some random pain and whatnot. And the doctors haven't all his tests come back pretty much clean, and they don't really know why he isn't fully restored.
Everyone in court thinks we already had it because we were all super, super, super duper, thanks for the hair help, that we were super sick in January. We were all very, very ill. And then people keep coming in with COVID. So we go get a test and we're all negative. And then one of the ladies who works here, her son was positive 2 or 3 times. Took him a while to get over it. And she's always negative. So we figured we might have already had it. It's the reason why we don't catch it.
It's anybody's guess at this point.
But we're still being careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still being very careful.
You can get the antibody tests that are supposed to tell you if you've ever had it, but I think the rate of false positives there is a lot higher than the nasal swab. I think that's what, was it Nikki or Karika or one of the guests we've had on the show that's an expert was saying.
Yeah.
I've had 2 of the antibody tests and they say negative. So I'm just being careful.
Yeah.
Better to be safe.
Well, we are over time, so we should definitely start the official introductions. I will, first of all, introduce my co-host, who is the greatest co-host that I could ask for, one of the smartest, most interesting people that I know, ranked by Modern Drummer magazine to be the best drummer on the planet. And you want to talk about what kind of a friend he is. Notice the specificity with which he was able to talk about what happened to me earlier this year. Now, that's a friend right there. Ladies and gentlemen, and I got it right on the first try. I figured out which direction to point.
No, I'm not.
On the first try, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael Bland.
Yes. He hails from Madison, Wisconsin. Not that far from Kenosha.
Nope. less than 2 hours. Oh, where'd the judge go? Oh, she's back.
The judge is there.
Technical difficulties. Sorry about that. There we go.
Holy roller. B3 player. Guitar chunker. All around in it for the fight.
Not really, but I'll take it.
Not scared of black folks.
No?
Dan Spiffy Neuman, back from the dead.
Thank you,
We
sir.
appreciate you. We happy you're here.
Well, do you want to introduce our guest, or should I?
Well, please introduce the judge.
So, for those of you who are regular viewers of the show, we all know Maya. Maya helps with the show as well as been a frequent guest to the show. She had a panel on, I think it was voting rights or something to do with the importance of voting. And Nia and I watched the panel, and I stole my two favorite guests from that panel out from under Maya. And one of them was Judge Dominique Collins from Dallas, Texas, who I found out is a criminal judge as well as having a background in the military. And I don't want to mess up her bio, so I'll let her give us a little more biographical information. But she is the first in our 3-part series featuring Black women politicians from around the country. And we're so grateful to have her here, Judge Dominique Collins.
Yay!
And I'm going to wait. I did it right that time, too. I pointed the right direction.
Right, too.
Try and point and see because the camera throws you off because it's like it's not the direction you think it is.
Like me moving this chair, yeah.
So welcome, Judge Collins.
Well, hello. Thanks for having me.
So, but I didn't want to mess up your bio because I wasn't reading it, and I remembered all the great things that you told me about your background working with. You told us just before we went on the air that you had a specific area of working with grand juries. You told me yesterday, I think it was about your work with. Go ahead. What were you going to say? Cut me off.
Oh, the mentally ill people. Yeah. Do you want me to give you a rough, weird thing of my circuitous bio? Do you want that?
Just like informally, anything that I missed that, Michael and I talked about each other just before we start the discussion, just if there's anything that people should know about you that I missed,
Well, let's see. Went to high school in Dallas, of course, went to UT, left UT because my mom was always bossing me around, telling me what to do. So to get away from that old bossy business, I joined the Air Force, where someone I didn't love could tell me what to do. And after 1 year and 1 month in the Air Force, I went to the first Gulf War. And I was there. Right. So they said, don't even pack a big bag because we don't want girls over there. Don't worry about that. You'll be home real fast. Well, real fast was 7 months and 6 days later, and a whole bunch of bombs later, too. Wow. So did that, and I stayed in the Air Force for 12 years. And in 2001, I lost my mind. I quit my job and sold my house and joined law school. Took my 4-year-old baby to law school. And so we did that. And then the first job I got was in Dallas, Texas as an assistant district attorney. I did that for 7 years before I decided to run for judge. And when you're a DA, you kind of move around different sections. And so did a whole lot of stuff there, tried all kinds of different kinds of cases, spent a lot of time in family violence, spent a lot of time in the grand jury, 18 months there, where you take those cases sometimes cradle to grave, where you actually, the police walks in with it, you intake it, get it ready, and actually sometimes even try it. And then public integrity, where you deal with bad cops, bad lawyers, bad doctors, people who have the public trust. So I worked there for a while. And then the last thing I did was worked about 3.5 years in mental illness court. So I was the only DA basically who's working 18 courts doing mentally ill stuff. And that's like a weird holistic practice of law. Like most lawyers want to be like Perry Mason and get to say, well, you lying then or you lying now. And when you're dealing with the mentally ill population, you don't get to do that. It's holistic. You've got to look at the whole person, why they did it, how they did it, and then get them back healthy before you can even start, working with their case. So some people saw me doing that and said they thought I should run for judge. So I did that. And so I've been on the bench for 8 years now, and it's been awesome. So my court is a criminal court that has cases that range from state jail felonies like tiny dope cases all the way to capital murder death cases where they put them to death, actually. And so I do that. And then as a side hustle, I have a veterans court, second chance veterans court, and I have a mental illness court. So we get those people spruced up and back to health and then figure out how to deal with their cases and keep them med compliant and out of trouble. That's what I do.
Wow.
And I have a little girl too. I have a little girl. My little 4-year-old is now 23 and in law school.
Okay, I have a lot of questions just based on that. But Michael, do you have some before I?
No, go ahead, man. I see you got a thing. Go ahead.
So my first question is, what prompted you to go to law school when you said you lost your mind and was the way you referred it, but what was the actual what was the from the military to law school, what was the train of thought there? Was there an inspiration?
I always wanted to be a lawyer since I was a little kid, but when I say I lost my mind, because I say, what adult who owns a house and has a kid says, oh, I think I'm going to quit this job that I'm very good at and just say, bye, never mind, how am I going to pay my bills and incur a bunch of debt? So that's what I mean by that. But I've always wanted to be a lawyer since I was a little kid, always my whole life. I wanted to stick up for people, with your cape, Captain Saving People.
You can say it. You can say it. We know what you talk about.
Well, because we know what she talking about, she don't have to say it.
That's right. It is implied. So I actually have a look. I'll show you. Watch this. Look at that.
Real quick, while she's showing.
Who's on my wall? Look who's on my wall. Do you see this? Oh, wait. This. You see?
Oh,
she's on
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, she's on my wall in my court.
So, real quick, whoever this is that's following in the judge's footsteps, if you want us to be able to see who you are, depending on where you're commenting, sometimes it doesn't show us your profile information, but if you go to this link and fill out whatever it asks you to fill out, then we'll know who you are.
Maybe they like
secret. If you want to stay anonymous, you can stay anonymous.
Yeah.
So, but to your question, I always wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to help people and save them. I remember something happened once when I was a little kid in our family, not to me specifically, but someone else. And I remember being too small and too young and too powerless. You're 6 years old. You can't help nobody, right? So I was like, man, I wish somebody would help us. And I was like, when I get big, I'm going to help people or find a kid like me who wishes that somebody would help them or help their mother or whatever.
So my follow-up question to that is, in your primary court, not your second job, as you call it, with the night court, but in your primary court, how often do you have the opportunity to actually help people as opposed to what we kind of think about when we think about the justice system and judges and prosecutors and everything to that effect?
But the people don't understand what justice is. Justice is a whole bunch of stuff. Justice is maybe giving someone a second chance, right? So it runs the gamut. Second chance to possibly putting someone else away so they won't hurt the rest of us anymore. Justice is all that stuff in between, those mentally ill people who need to get fixed and get help. There's a lot of people who, what I see is who haven't been properly parented or properly loved. And I don't mean that to sound like some kumbaya kind of crap, but most of the people I see haven't been loved. They haven't been parented. Their parents are off chasing dope, chasing alcohol, chasing people, chasing jobs. And they're not there to watch them. Think about it. Your mom's not doing anything wrong because she's working 2 jobs and you're home by yourself. That's nobody's fault, right? But sometimes you get into mischief because you're not supervised. So I think the people that a lot of that are here, they're not supervised or taken care of sometimes, right? And so they get themselves into mischief and they go with the people who will take care of them, who will pay them some attention and tell them, you're good, you're great. Now go put this dope in your pants over here for me. Sit on this real quick. Be the guy who, rides the bike and hands the dope because I'm going to feed you well tonight. I'm going to buy you some shoes. I'm going to do whatever. So it's teaching people to live. That too is justice. But to the people who will not be fixed, then, we don't put people in prison who piss us off. We put people in prison who scare us. That should be the rule.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to remember that because that's a perspective I haven't necessarily heard us before. Doesn't that kind of open a can of worms though, with, in terms of like whether or not, there's been with the rhetoric in a lot of the police shootings today is, he feared for his life. Like, is it necessarily always acceptable to prosecute someone because they incite fear or people are scared of them?
No, that's not what I mean. Okay. I mean, let's say, you steal my bike. Yeah, you keep smoking dope and you keep doing things that hurt you. You know what I mean? But what I mean by people who scare us is, they are robbing. They're sticking a gun at you, sticking a gun at your mama, That kind of means that's what I mean. Scare us. Like keep on robbing, hurting, shooting, raping. That's what I mean by scaring. Not boo. Like, oh, you showed up with a hoodie. I don't mean like that.
So, of the people that come in as defendants in your court, would you say that the majority that are being prosecuted are people that are like, that's kind of defines who they are? Or is there a lot of people who made mistakes and, you know, perhaps have been in similar situations, but not necessarily like, I don't really know how to articulate it, but like, is that the majority of what the defendants that come through are like, or is it mostly a lot of people that just kind of fucked up? And
so it runs the gamut. But what I can say, because there's no definitive answer. It depends on what's going on. It depends. There's not a good answer for that. But what I will tell you is that probably 80 to 85% of the things that walk in my door have to do with dope.
Uh-huh.
Let me tell you how. It has to do with, let's say I'm possessing dope because I like to do, not me personally. When I say I'm talking about, Joe Blow. So let's say I just like to do dope. So I get caught with it because how are you going to have it all the time and not get caught with it, right? So there's that. There's getting caught with dope. There's selling dope, maybe because you have a dope problem, right? There's things that happen because I'm protecting dope. There's things that happen because I'm using dope. I might act crazy in the streets because I'm using dope. I might be selling my body or drugs or stealing stuff to get dope because I have a dope problem. I might be robbing people to get money for dope. I might be sticking up some guy in retaliation or shooting him because he stole my dope or he didn't pay for my dope. So I feel like 80 to 85% of the things that walk in this door have to do, even if it's tangentially, with drugs.
Wow.
You got anything you want to respond to that with, Michael?
No, I just, do you have a theory on why that is? Just because drugs are so interwoven, whether it be just with society, whether it's a matter of drug abuse or medication or
illness, like, once you get on drugs, like, some people, like I tell kids when I talk to them, don't try dope. And they look at me like, because you don't know if you're that guy who can just go out geeking and freaking on the weekend and be like, oh, that was fun, and go to work on Monday, right? Or if you're the guy who's then going to be selling you behind on the street and robbing and, selling your mom's TV. We smoking the TV. Remember that one? Mm-hmm. So you don't know if you're that guy, so you can't try it. And so that whole range of which guy are you, that everything that you said you'd never do, everything that you were not raised to do, mm-hmm. you might do it. But I think that there's a lot of people that are self-medicating too with drugs because they're mentally ill or they got some, seen and unseen wounds, things that hurt them, PTSD, a lot of traumatic brain injury. People who have traumatic brain injuries always want to smoke some weed because a lot of times they get headaches and stuff. But it's all kind of things. You got people, crack babies who have come of age, who are ill at ease in the world because maybe mental illness, maybe being special in different kind of ways. They're using drugs. I mean, it's just a lot of different stuff, but drugs touch everybody's lives. Nobody can say that they don't know or love somebody who has been affected by drugs, whether that means somebody uses them, maybe somebody or you got robbed by somebody who's using them. I mean, everybody has been touched in a manner of ways by drugs.
Wow, I really had not considered that.
It's like a spider web, how people are touched by all of that stuff.
Is not to ask you an impossible question, but what's the solution? Are you somebody who leans towards legalization, or like what, is it a matter of needing more money for rehab, more money for prevention? I mean,
it's my job to follow the laws of the state and whatever those laws are. It's my job to follow them. But I think that we probably might want to, I think that investing in people is never a bad idea. Investing in people, investing in prevention. So let's say I invest in boys, and I always say sometimes I play the lotto because I want to, invest in boys and girls clubs, right? Like somebody to help you and hang out, this funny teacher who's really good at math to help you with your homework at the boys and girls clubs, you got to monetize that. I mean, the good teacher who's, busy with his kids at school and his family, you got to monetize it. So he'll go to Boys and Girls Club to, help the kids with their homework and all that kind of stuff, and inspire them as well. That's one way you can invest in people. Educating and treating people about drug and alcohol abuse and about, seen and unseen wounds, things that happen, things that hurt people. Investing in people is never a waste. It is always a good investment. I think we need to do that. Try to do some preventive care. And if somebody happens to get there and get caught up, help them get uncaught up. And sometimes when people have those kind of problems, you got to help them again and again and again and again, as long as they're not hurting people.
Mm-hmm.
I had another question, but we kind of went a different direction, so now I don't remember what it was. I definitely have heard before that, if we took, so let me ask you this question, rather than assume or go by some statistics that I heard before. What percentage of the drug cases that you see are nonviolent?
Possession of drugs is a big thing. There are many people who are just using and get caught. There are many people who are using to get themselves what they need for the day. There are many people that are selling their bodies for drugs. That's not violent. There are many people who are stealing that lawnmower and that leaf blower out your garage. That's not violent. You see what I mean?
I don't know if you are looking at the comment section to decide. I don't want to put his comment on the screen if you don't want to answer it. But Chris asked you a question. Maybe it's 5 or so from the bottom.
If you find it, just showcase it there, Dan.
Okay, I'll just put it on.
Yeah, just put it on.
Oh, yeah. So sure. So usually marijuana is a misdemeanor. So I don't see that much of that. Now, when I see, this is going to be funny, in Texas, to get a felony dope case, a delivery even case, you have to have, it's about how much you have, right? And so ordinarily when a person has a lot of a drug, that it's usually going to be for delivery, because drugs aren't like Sam's. You have a lot, it's not for you to use unless you might be Willie Nelson. Then you might have a lot of marijuana. But regular, no. So the only way to get a real huge felony dope case, marijuana case, is if you actually deliver it to a police officer.
Does that happen fairly often?
Yes, it does. So the drugs, the level of felony that they are, or even if they are a felony, is the drug class they are. So heroin is not, that those are different things. People a lot of times are not addicted to marijuana, but I will say this on that. This is not your mama's pot. The pot now is way super different. It's not like what it used to be. It's grown. Why are you smiling at me about that? It's grown differently. It's stronger. It's a whole lot of different stuff can happen to it, as well as the way that people ingest it now. Like eating marijuana is a whole different thing as opposed to smoking it. So the person who asked, heroin's a whole different story. And, if you're on heroin, you're probably going to sleep a lot till you, unfortunately, don't wake up. The drugs are different. Meth causes a whole different thing. K2 causes a whole different thing. With each drug, you're going to see different behaviors and different characteristics generally. And I guess the hurt that comes when you are fiending or hurting for your drugs, also the extent of that hurt, the level of that hurt, the depth of that hurt will make you do some different things too. If I need some marijuana, I'm probably not going to stick up anybody. But if I need some heroin, if I need some meth or crack or, whatever, it's a whole nother level. That's next level, Jonesy.
What do you normally see the most of in terms of the cases? Is it mostly meth in Texas, or is it mostly heroin?
Right now it's meth. And it's weird because when I first started in the criminal justice world over here in 2005, different demographics of people use different drugs, and you knew who was using what. But now everybody's doing everything. It's just people are just doing everything now.
I'm not gonna lie, I was wondering that, but I didn't feel like it was necessarily important enough to say. But yeah, the stereotype in my mind with meth is white rednecks in sheds, basically. You know, Cletus and them. You know, I don't know.
No, now I see a lot of black kids, and I was like, hey, what part of town do you live in? What are you doing that? Who are your friends? I know, but we're all thinking it, but it's the truth. But now everybody's doing everything.
So somebody asked a question earlier, and I think their question was kind of implying something, but it is a valid question. So how is the meth getting to areas like Dallas? You know, is it being made in Dallas? Or this is not the topic I thought we were going to cover, but it's interesting.
Oh man, they're making it everywhere. It's not hard. Like when I was in drug court also, I forgot to mention that. So when I was in drug court, we actually went down the highway to the DEA drug lab, and they taught us how to make it. So and you're like, what? Why do you know how to make dope? The reason why is because, let's say, a dope house gets busted, and the police take pictures and they detail what they find there. So you'll know what you're seeing, and you'll see the accoutrements of making dope. So if I see a guy with batteries, I'm like, oh, he must got a lot of remotes. No, he's getting the lithium out of those batteries because it goes in the dope. It goes in the meth. Or you're like, oh, they got some red devil, rat poison. Oh, they got a lot of rats. Hell no, they don't have rats. They're making meth. Or they have those brown Pyrex dishes. Oh, you're like, oh, look, they like to cook. Yeah, they like to cook meth. Or the liter Coke bottles, they make it in there. Just all the different things. So that's why we made the batches and cook them at the DEA drug lab we were there supervised, and we were learning what it takes to make it, what it looks like when you make it, the whole thing, the whole production, and what you need to make it, so that when you see that stuff in a dope house or in a regular house, you're like, hey, this is not a regular house. They have this, this, and this. So yeah, it's not that difficult to make it, and so it's readily available, unfortunately.
So before we move on from this topic, Diane did have an interesting question. I'll throw that up there.
Well, I suppose that whatever is legal in whatever state is just fine.
I think is that what you're basically allowed to say on the record?
No, I'm just saying, seriously. I mean, I'm a judge, and I don't get to have thoughts on it. I get to follow the law, and when the things come in front of me, it's my job to do what's supposed to be done. Like I have a bit of I have the ability to use my, why did the word escape me? My goodness, my judgment, because I'm a judge. So, but I still have to follow the law. So in Texas, that's one of the reasons why I don't know. It must be difficult to be a federal judge, because you don't have as much ability to use your judgment. There are guidelines. Now I have guidelines, but I'm able to use my judgment and do the best thing that I feel in each situation.
Sure.
So I have two follow-up questions from that, and they kind of segue into some other topics that we might, have wanted to cover anyways. The first one is, so what happens when you get a case where applying the law to that particular case doesn't seem moral to you?
But if the person, there's different things that happen. So with regards to criminal offenses, the person's charged with a criminal offense, first, they are always allowed to have a trial. It is that citizen's accused right to say, I want a jury trial. I'm not guilty. I want a jury trial, right? So there's that. And then even if you have a jury trial, you can say, if the jury finds me guilty, I still want the judge to assess my punishment. There's that. Then there's the thing where you can plead guilty and say, I would like the jury to hear my story and why this happened. Yes, I say I'm guilty, but let me tell you why this happened and why I'm not a bad guy and why you should not give me the hard end of this, punishment. And then there's also a person who can plead guilty and ask the judge to assess their punishment. Yes, I'm guilty, but let me tell you why. Please don't be hard on me. Could I have probation? Could I, whatever, right? So all that stuff can happen. In addition to that, they can also have a trial before the court and say, well, let me tell my story to the court and let them see if they think I'm guilty or not. There's all those kind of things. There's so many options. But if a person says, yes, I did it, but here's why, here's my justification, and they plead, that happens all the time here. People, even in COVID, people plead guilty and go open to me for their punishment because they want to say, hey, judge, I robbed those people, but I got a drug problem, or I was crazy high, or I had a baby at home I needed to feed. You know, people will say, yes, I did it, but I had a reason, or please don't treat me harshly because this will never happen again, and here's why. I'm really this guy, I'm not that guy.
And so how often does that, I don't want to say work, but I mean, like, how often do you get an example like that where it is somebody that has, we'll say, a sob story that actually kind of that holds water?
So yes, they plead guilty, then I may send them to rehab. I may send them to have some cognitive behavioral therapy as well. Because remember I talked about some people haven't been taught to live because they were not parented, because their parents were busy with whatever thing they're busy with, work, people, drugs, alcohol, whatever, maybe even incarcerated, right? So we have methods if we think a person is willing to learn and it's not dangerous, you know, and if they will change their behavior, there's the opportunity. That's kind of what probation is for. Let's put you in rehab, get you off those drugs. Let's put you in some behavioral therapy. When I say, do you know what cognitive behavioral therapy is?
Vaguely.
I think of it, people laugh when I say it like this, but I think about, like, do you remember Gilligan's Island? Y'all are too young, maybe, right? Okay, so remember,
Michael's old.
I'm old.
So remember Gilligan's Island, right? Where something would happen and he'd have an angel and the devil, one on each shoulder, you know? We're trying to figure out what to do. Remember that?
Yeah.
So
I don't recall that episode, but
Gilligan and different people on different little shows from that time. There'd be a devil over here and an angel over here, right? And they're like,
from 70s television, yes.
So the cognitive behavioral therapy is to teach you which one to listen to and why you should. That's what it is. So you go through different scenarios in cognitive behavioral therapy, and it teaches you to unleash the criminal thinking and not even consider that, but to say, what's the right thing to do here, and listen to the other one on the other show. So
wow, I didn't think of that. It's hard for me to think of it as a skill set.
It is, because you were taught right. But there's certain people, because they were not. Let's say my mom's at work all the time, and the only person who's, you know, maybe the lady next door, her house always smells good, right? So she says, come on over here and finish your homework over here, and we're going to feed you because your mama's not home. Well, her son is Hustle Man, right? So I learned my thinking from Hustle Man here. Hustle Man's successful. Hustle Man's nice. Lives with this nice lady who feeds me. I learned these hustling ways. I think that's the way exactly. That's exactly it. It is the head ego and super ego. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But that's what I'm saying. So learning some cognitive behavioral therapy is because you may not know that criminal thinking's bad. That's just how. There's houses, like sometimes it's hard to get some of my folks to stop doing the thing, like to rehabilitate themselves and stop doing those bad things because they don't know they're bad. Let's say I'm from a family where everybody's got their hustle. This one is a booster. This one, you know, sells the little CDs behind the liquor store. This one does, everybody does something. Nobody goes to work and comes home every day. Like, if everybody's got a hustle, that's your job. That's family business. And so I'm not saying that those people are bad or evil, but it's the way that they have been taught to get by and take care of their business. They're not always hurting people. Sometimes it's just little rule bending.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely know, especially people that I, knew growing up through church and their families and stuff like that. I definitely knew a lot of people that the only way that they knew how to make a decent living was, hustling.
Just rule bending. Like, I'm not hurting anybody, but it's more like a rule bending. And it can be a way of life for some people, and they don't know that it's wrong.
Sure. Dolo.
So, I mean, but in that particular example, I mean, it doesn't really seem to me like it'd be an instance of convincing somebody what's right or wrong when you've got somebody that says, hey, I can make minimum wage and, barely be able to pay rent versus I can, I don't know what the terms are these days. It used to be you're moving bricks or whatever, and pay all the bills quickly. It seems like less of a matter of I know what's wrong, and I didn't know that was wrong versus I know this isn't strictly right, but I got to survive. What'd you say?
The lights went out here. They go off at a certain time of night.
Oh,
they're back. You gotta move around and
they come back on at a certain time.
Hey, setting the mood now.
Yeah.
Like the grandma says, ain't nothing open anyway.
So, I mean, yeah, I remember that one.
Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't really seem, from my perspective, like a lot of those cases would be a matter of not knowing it's wrong, but just like this is the only way that I had available to survive.
Oh, sometimes they do not know. So that's part of what else we do. Like in this courtroom, I think that we do a lot of holistic practice of law. Sometimes, help them get a job. It's in my opinion, to be a proper steward of what I've been given here, I have to help them. If I tell you, you got to lead a good and clean and healthy life, I have to help you with that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I know where the jobs are that they hire felons. I know where the jobs are where they'll hire you if you got a tattoo on the face. If I'm telling you to cut the crap and let's, live like the rest of the people, then it's my job to show you how or help you how or give you the tools to do that.
Sure.
And is that something that is set up through your court, or is that just something you personally kind of take on as a mission? Like, let me personally give you these, these resources.
Yeah. So I always tell them, even if they're going to prison, I go, because nobody lives in prison unless you commit a murder or something, you're going to get out, right? So why can't I help you live a better life where cops ain't always chasing you, where the money is really yours and you get to keep it, except that which Uncle Sam takes. But so sometimes they'll plead guilty and go to jail. And I said, hey man, when you get out, come back and see me. I'll help you get a job. And they're like, so one guy's like, man, what up? And so the bailiff goes, no, she's not joking. She's not being a bitch to you. She's really going to help you. So they come here and I have a list of people that hire felons, places that will rent to felons, all kind of stuff. I mean, if I'm not willing to help you live a better life, you know what I mean?
Then who are you to stand in judgment?
Yeah. So I have the list of jobs. I have the list of rehabs, and yeah, we keep that list in here. Everybody knows I have it.
That's awesome.
But are you the only judge that does that? Or is that something that is unique to your court? Or is that something that's kind of the norm for Dallas County? Or
I don't know. I know I have this list and I keep it updated. And I also ask people in the community to tell me who hires felons. I look at the Facebook pages that are like jobs for felons. I look at that all the time so that if somebody walks in, I go, hey man, so-and-so's hiring today. I saw that on Facebook. It's just my personal mission because I just think that this job is like a huge blessing and I had to put my money where my mouth is.
Wow.
So,
yes,
I guess I'm assuming that some of your colleagues are probably a little bit less benevolent.
I mean, it depends. You get to do what you want to do, and maybe everybody has their own way of helping. Mine, I probably maybe take it to an extreme level where I also like to find mentors in the community, people who used to be gangbangers, people who used to be whatever, who will be like, man, you ain't got to live like that. I probably have extra resources that other people might not have because I was doing mental health. I think that's what it is. Because I was doing mental health for so long, I know where the boarding homes are. So I may know a boarding home man that has lost, he lets people who are more high functioning, but who don't maybe have a stellar record, be the house manager or help out or live for a minute without paying if you can help out and do this and that. So I just have strange resources that other people might not have because I was doing mental health. And because I go to a lot of churches, I'm also the moderator of a free legal clinic around town. And so I meet interesting people because of running around a lot. My daughter's 23. I have nothing to do but, run around and talk to people about strange things.
Well, I mean, I'm hearing the list of things that you do, and I'm wondering how you have time for it. But, so I guess my question was, Well, backtracking a little bit, when you were talking about all the drug cases and everything like that, do you ever come up against, and I don't really know about this other than what's been used in political rhetoric, the 3 strikes law?
So sometimes, yes. So what I would call that is this, and it doesn't have to do with drugs. It's not about that. So in Texas, let's say I go to the penitentiary because let's say I broke into a house, right? I steal the TV and I go about my life and, whatever. So let's say I go to the penitentiary for 5 or 2 or whatever years, right? And I get out. Oh, and the answer to that is a lot. A lot of, yes, I'll talk about it. But yes, usually it's actually about 1/3 of the population at any given time. So in the jail here, our jail holds 6,000 people, and usually 1/3 of them are mentally ill. And sometimes mental illness could be a traumatic brain injury or plurally psychotic from drugs. But what was I for real talking about though? I forgot. 3 strikes. So, okay, so I go to the penitentiary, let's say hypothetically, for burglarizing a house, and I get out, I parole out, right? And then maybe I have a drug problem, so I got to go steal another TV, right? So then I go to the penitentiary again, right? And so I go for 5 years this time because I didn't learn anything last time, okay? So those are 2 second-degree felonies. Normally those felonies start out from 2 to 20. Each time my exposure was 2 to 20, right? So the first house, I could have gone to jail for 2 to 20. I got 2. I get out. I do some more because I have this drug problem, right? Or just because I like stealing. I don't know. Then I go back again, same 2 to 20. But, so that's 2 strikes, right? So the third time I burglarize a house, my exposure is 25 to 99 or life in Texas, right? Now, generally, if I have a drug problem or if I'm not hurting anybody, they may knock off some of those paragraphs. We call them paragraphs every time you go to penitentiary, right? It's like nasty Legos. They stack on top of each other. And now I'm up here the 3rd time. It's kind of crappy, right? And so sometimes they'll kick some of those Legos out from under you, and you might not have to go start out with 25. They'll say, hey, man, can we get you into rehab, or can we do something with you and, maybe brief probation and we'll take the paragraphs off, different things. Like I said, prison is a place. Generally, the general thought is prison's a place for people who not piss us off by stealing our stuff, but who are dangerous and who frighten us, not by wearing a hoodie, but by putting our lives in danger.
Sure. Dan?
Personal safety at danger, because raping people is not your life, but it's pretty horrible.
You about to say something, Dan, or are you not?
Go ahead, because I was going back to something that was going to take us a different direction. So you go ahead, Michael.
Well, we're going to end up going either way, because I was going to ask the judge, Judge Dominique, if you had let's see, maybe a top 3, like laws that are on the books that you really got a problem with, I'd be curious to know. Like you question their validity.
Well, if I had a thought like that, I would not really be able to discuss it, because that would make me not be able to sit on the cases.
I understand.
And I don't know, I haven't had a long talk with myself about what I do, because my whole thing with when I took this office is that it is my job to follow the laws. But do I have discretion when maybe somebody has mitigating circumstances? I certainly do. That's the thing, is that I'm able to have discretion, but it's my job to follow the laws.
Sure. I guess in your position, you can't even really advocate for changing the laws, can you?
Nope. That's why a lot of people are lawyers or legislators, because they're like, I don't like that, and they go and say, well, I'm gonna fix that.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So whatever way you mitigate the circumstances is according to how you see it.
Not mitigate. That's their job to mitigate. The citizen accused, if he's found guilty, it's his job to mitigate the circumstances, but it's my job, it's my discretion to try to give him justice, be fair. You know, be fair to the citizen accused and to the public. You know, it's like a balancing act.
So there were two. Go ahead, Michael.
No. I'm chewing on what you just said.
Yeah. So there's two different directions I wanted to go, and one of them has more to do with what you just said, but I think because that'll take us a whole different place, I think I'll backtrack just a little bit, kind of going back to the 3 strikes thing, because the other thing that we've been hearing a lot in the past couple election cycles, honestly, has been talking about how the crime bill from the 90s has disproportionately affected Black people, minorities, etc. And is that something that you have seen from your perspective on the bench? And if so, is there a specific part of that bill that's problematic, or is it all in essentially who's on the bench? And in terms of if it was all judges like you, it would be applied more fairly.
So I think that's a bygone era. But what I do know about it is this. What I believe the substance of those issues is that back in the 80s or whenever it was, way before I was a lawyer, because I only became a lawyer in November 2004, is that the punishment used to be harsher for powder cocaine, which they said that Caucasians do that, versus crack cocaine, which is what the brown people do. That's what I think that where they're saying the racial disparity and the whole prejudice thing and why Black and brown people were disproportionately punished, higher in more numbers and more harshly, because the punishments were harsher for the crack cocaine versus the powder. That's what I think you're talking about. Yeah. By the time I got here, that was not an issue. But have I heard people or seen people who probably are still stuck in there for that stuff? Yeah. I've heard people say that to me, but I cannot, when someone says that to me, I'm not going to go research your case and figure it out because it's a done deal. But somebody might say, I spent 20 years back when I was 18. The guy's like 50 now, 60. I spent 20 years because blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. I said, I'll tell you what, you're going to get a fair deal here today based on the facts, but I can't, I'm sorry for whatever happened to you. I'm not a part of that. It's a new day and I'm sitting here now. Let's talk about what happened today right now.
So whatever is or was problematic in that bill no longer applies in terms of the cases that you're seeing currently, but it does apply in terms of people that are still incarcerated from that time.
Still incarcerated or did their time and got out. Because, parole happens, unless someone's, doing a capital murder, parole is generally going to happen. Depends on what kind of cases. Like in Texas, if it's aggravated, you've got to do half of the sentence before the sentence that you're given before you're even eligible for parole consideration. If it's not aggravated, a lot of times if it's just a dope case or something not violent, then it's sometimes a quarter time. So that's all determined by the parole board.
So here's my other question, and I think this will take us into a different area, which is when you talk about the discretion that you have as a judge. And over the past week or so, a lot of us have been panicking because of the death of an icon, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and then her replacement being announced.
She's here.
It's the bobblehead. Is that a bobblehead or just a action figure?
It's my action figure. I got a lot of superheroes around here.
Hold them closer to the camera.
Wait. Where is the
the Wonder Woman and
RBG.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how much discretion will can potentially a Supreme Court justice have in that, is all the panic justified? Is it if they were supposed to follow the letter of the law, then as one of our past guests said, it shouldn't matter who sits on the bench if they're following the letter of the law. But
I was going to bring that up.
I figured you were. I think we've already kind of seen from some of the examples that she's had why it does matter, because not everybody's going to be compassionate like her. And one of the things I was thinking, just based on what you were saying, it sounds like maybe every judge should be required to spend a certain amount of time in mental health court before they serve in criminal courts.
Because you're going to see a ton of them. I told you, since a third of that, like our jails is 6,000 people max, and there's usually about 1,300, 1,600 people who are mentally ill over there. But mental illness is a squishy thing, and sometimes drugs cause it, and it can be eradicated once you're cleaned up. But it all looks the same.
Sure.
So especially K2. But with regard to the Supreme Court thing, I think that there's room for interpretation. And there's the votes, there's the majority and the minority and the dissenters, So what a lot of people that I've been hearing are afraid of is that female reproductive rights are at issue, as is affordable care, are the first things that folks believe would be on the chopping block. And of course, if they strike them down, I don't know how you get these from. I just love little things. So they might have enough votes to affect women's reproductive rights, and then they'll go to the states, and that means that every state could potentially do something different. And I think that frightens people. There are places that are super, super conservative, and the fact that people may lose some of the rights that they previously had to decide what to do with their own bodies
sure.
is scary. So depending on where you live, whether you have all the rights and decisions over your own body, that's frightening. And then the fact with the affordable care, the fact that there are people who don't have insurance, who can't afford insurance, who that will be left to the states too, I guess, whether they're going to take care of their people adequately or just let them die on the vine if they don't have a job with insurance or can't afford insurance. People without insurance, that really frightens me, because I've seen some people at different jobs I've had who struggle and cry and take a lot of crap off some crappy bosses because they have children that they love and they need to be able to take care of their health. Mm-hmm. Those kids may have some conditions that need seeing after. I remember I knew a girl before, and her child had a disease. I forgot what it was, but it was a disease where the child was never going to grow very much and was going to need a bunch of care, and had to live in a chair, basically in a different kind of bed, and wasn't ever going to be very old. That mom loved that kid, and it took a lot of money to take care of the kid's medical appointments and doctors, and the actual care that it takes that the insurance covered to take care of this kid when this lady was at work. Mm-hmm. So people are very worried about those two very important things. There's other stuff that we could potentially lose, but I know those are the two on the top of everybody's brain right now.
What kind of case law could they use to strike them down? Like how does that happen from a legal standpoint? If we had, with a conservative majority on the Supreme Court,
they could be overturned and say, "Oh, they saw it all wrong." And I mean, because it's about the votes. It's about the votes and the majority. Majority rules.
It's just
a majority something else now, and they write a different opinion and say, "Wait, what we see now, or this is distinguished because those things." Somebody could find the right case to represent it, to ask a different novel question that's really that one, dressed up differently. That could happen, and people are very, very afraid of it. But I think that the nominee said something interesting to me. She said two things. One of them, I have to research it. One, she said when she was being confirmed for the job she has now, she said it shouldn't matter. It's my job to follow the law. But I don't know. I don't know. I worry about that because I think, yeah, you're following the law, but you are who you are. And I don't know if she could not bring who she is into it. She gave a very eloquent talk on that when she was asked, but I don't know how that's possible if you have such firm and strict beliefs. So I heard something in passing today. I want to research it. I didn't get a chance to do it before I got here, where she said something about a Catholic judge should recuse themselves from death penalty case or case that involved the death penalty. I just saw this in passing, so I don't want to be the guy who reads a sexy headline and then starts spouting off like they know, because I don't. I do not. But I just saw it, and I'm very, very curious if that was actually said. Because what the quote was is that a Catholic judge should recuse themselves on cases that involve the death penalty. Then they said no Supreme Court justice is ever allowed or should recuse themselves. So I'd like to know those two things, and I'm going to research them tonight, or I won't be able to sleep now since I've said it out loud in public. Would it be wise for Biden to add 2 years to SCOTUS? It doesn't. I don't know. Like, if we don't get a vote before the election, and let's say Biden did win, then he would get to put the next one in. And those justices stay there for life or until they retire. So unless another one stepped off the bench because they wanted to go live their lives or do whatever, or they passed away, that
I think his question is in terms of something that I've heard thrown around, which is expanding the court, by adding additional justices, making the court larger.
I don't know. I don't know if that's something that would happen. I don't know what a vote would look like on that. I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea. I just hadn't thought about it because we're in the middle of this one thing right now and the pandemic.
From a legal standpoint,
we got a pandemic. We got RBG.
From a legal standpoint, is there any way that this? Let's assume that miraculously Donald Trump loses the election. Is there any way that they stall the confirmation into the next presidency? Is that even possible?
It is possible. Yes, that's what happened to President Obama.
Yeah, but But the Republicans had the Senate, and
right
now the Republicans still have the Senate.
Yeah, but think about it this way: the Republicans still have the Senate, but some of those Republicans are not exactly getting down with the president. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's that too. I know the ones from Alaska, and I think there may be one or two more. And then Mitt Romney doesn't particularly think he's so awesome, but that doesn't mean they'll break party lines. But I'm saying there's possibilities.
I know the last I'd seen Romney quoted, he was saying he was going to vote to confirm, which I thought was disappointing because he was one of the few that seemed like there was a chance that maybe he went the other way.
So I would like to see this. Like, I'd like to see, I guess I'm curious, the two scenarios. Let's say he gets to go ahead and push it now, right? And they have to vote whether yes or no, right? And then what would happen if they don't get this done until after the election and he lost? Like, would they still vote with him? Would more Republicans break away and say, try to distance themselves and say, this guy, I don't want to be around him. I don't want to vote for anything he says. You know what I'm saying? What would happen if he were the lame duck president and he didn't get to vote until then? Would more Republicans break away and say, I don't know that guy?
How likely is it that the vote will be after the election?
I don't know. People can dream. I mean, come on.
I mean, I've been following it really looks like they're going to try to push it through before the election.
Oh, they are. But I'm just saying, let me be great. Even if I'm in my dream, let me be great. Let me think nice thoughts. God.
I'm just trying to learn here.
I'm like Eeyore over there talking all this bad stuff.
Michael, this is the quietest you've been in a long time.
I'm out of my depth here a little bit.
Well,
so I'm taking a decision.
No, you are not out of your depth.
We can get to that.
I'm just saying,
Judge Dominique Collins. But I'm a better listener sometimes. So I'm just absorbing all this.
I mean, that might be true, but Michael's smarter than me. So, I should shut up and let him talk more.
I'm older than you.
That's why he had a big hat to cover his brain, right?
That's right. Exactly. Couldn't have all them brains falling out all over the place.
Just batten down the hatches.
But I mean, I guess the thing I was thinking about was, is it true that if you've been in jail, you lose your right to vote?
Oh, I love talking about this. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. So this is the deal. In Texas, when you are off paper, so off paper means this: if I get a prison sentence for 5 years and I go over there for, again, burglarizing this house, right? So they give me 5 years and I parole out in 1 or 2 years, right? So I get out of jail. Of my 5-year sentence, I've only done 2. So that means I'm on paper for the other 3. I'm doing the rest of my sentence in the community. That's what parole is, right?
Okay.
So that means I'm on paper. So I'm good for 5 years and not voting, right? So I get out after 2, and I still got to finish these other ones on paper in the community. So once that's over, I can vote, right? That's one thing. So let's say I'm on probation. Once I'm off probation, then I can vote. There's that. So once you get off the paper, you can vote. And so what's interesting is that the first time I was running around, running for election, I'd be over in different parts of town. They're like, "Oh, I'll vote for you, girl," but I'm on paper. I can't vote. And I was like, "Wait a minute, let's talk about it." And so and it was when President Obama was on the second time. So 2012 was my first time running for election, and when Obama's up, right? So all these people who never had an active interest in wanting to vote, they were like, "I wish I could vote." And I was like, "Let's talk about it." So I'd figure out, I'm like, you're off paper. You can vote. And they are so excited that they got to vote. Like, it's like I gave them Christmas. I mean, seriously, I was like, yeah, like they were like, I think that something sometimes didn't mean anything to you until you didn't have it, And the fact that a lot of these people, I was in the Southern sector, they're like, "I wish I could vote for the black guy." Let's just be real about it, right? They're like, "This guy looks like me. I wish I could vote. Man, one time I want to vote, I can't." And I said, "You can do it." And they're like, "Oh, don't tell me that's nothing but a word." And they were so excited.
Wow.
It was literally like I gave them Christmas just by telling them that one sentence.
You're talking Texas specifically, right?
Yes, Texas.
So it's different state by state.
Probably, yes.
I know I've heard
some states probably, by the nature of your crime, is probably when and how you can get your rights back too.
Okay.
What I've heard is that the worst state is Florida when it comes to getting rights after you've been incarcerated. I don't know if it's just felons or if it's any type of incarceration, but I've heard they have to actually petition the governor to get their voting rights back in Florida. And
they're being disenfranchised like that. That's awful.
They did a whole series on it on John Oliver about how they're deliberately disenfranchising, and it's always specific demographics of people that tend to vote a certain way, that tend to vote the other direction from who's currently in the governor's mansion or the state house, or
jacked up poll tax, or having to take the test, the one that Rosa Parks passed. That's crappy. That's keeping people from voting who have every just as much right as anybody else. That stinks.
So Texas is one of the better states then in terms of giving people their voting rights back.
I think we're probably along par. I think there's just states who are worse.
Yes.
So, well, let me look and throw a few of these questions up here if you don't mind.
I'm afraid, but I'll go for it.
Okay.
I'll take 2 for 100, Dan.
I'm going up back to the top. So this is the first one from Cheryl.
Oh, wow. Of course. So what's funny is that when I first ran for judge, I was running against a guy who had been a lawyer 22 years, and he's from a real nice neighborhood. And so, even though I had been running around being in politics, helping different people run for judge, helping friends and whatnot, including the DA at the time where I worked, the folks said, "We think you should run for judge." So this guy comes from nowhere, been active in nothing. And so he starts running, and the judge here, who I replaced, he'd been here 22 years. And so I asked him as a matter of respect, "Are you running again?" He's like, "I don't know." And so he says, why? I told him, he says, I'll let you know when I figure it out, because I just think that just respect is important to me. Mm-hmm. So the other guy was just running around, running for his bench. So, this guy's very respected. He's running for his bench. And so he even told this guy, you need to endorse me. Sitting judges can't endorse anybody. So one night I was in the judge's office getting something signed because mental health doesn't have a timetable. He goes, what are you doing, kiddo? I said, what are you doing? He goes, I think you should get started before you get left behind. So then I run out that night and start going to politics. And the guy's like, why do you need to run anyway? So basically he starts talking crap. And so he goes to the bail bondsman and he says, hey, there's this black chick running against me. I'm gonna need y'all's help to beat her. So those fellas came to the courthouse and said, I was running my errands as a prosecutor. They came to find me. They're like, we want to talk to you at lunch. Why? This guy said this. And so we are going to help you because that's some old, what kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So those guys became like my gangster squad, putting up signs, telling everybody, hey, this is Dominique. She's cool. Hey, you got to vote for her. He did himself a great disservice. But he treated me like that because I guess I'm a brown girl. And he said, you got no place here. You don't, how dare you? You only been practicing law for 7 years.
Oh, boy.
You're a brown lady, go take 2 seats. And so I had less money than he did. And I actually had seven signs. And because I knew who he was and that he had more money, I would go put those signs up before work during the primary. And I would go take those 7 signs out of the polls when I got off work because I couldn't afford to have someone steal them or destroy them because I've spent $173 out of a prosecutor. He can make 52 cents as a prosecutor, Mm-hmm. And when I beat that guy, I beat him like he stole something. But I didn't know it. I came out of the polls because I was at the polls hanging out. Polls closed at 7:00 on the primary night, and so I wanted to greet the last person that walked in, And so this lady came out and she's all crying. I was like, "Why are you crying?" So George Lopez, right? And so she was crying because her polling location, another way to disenfranchise people, got changed. Mm-hmm. And so they did something funny with the lines. And so ordinarily, not now, on voting day, you have to vote at your location. Early voting, you vote any place you want. But, now the law's changed in Texas. So she's like, I can't vote. I cannot vote for Obama. So she's crying about that older black lady. I said, oh, yes, you can. So I walk her to her car and I said, well, this is not that bad. The general, you can vote for him. I said, but will you do something? Will you pray for me on your way home? She's like, sure. So I get in my car at 7:15. I call my daughter. She's like, Mommy, you won. I was like, you don't know nothing. It's 7:15. You are 14. Why are you doing this to me? You hurting my feelings. She goes, Mom, it's for real. I saw on the TV. You beat him by like almost double. I go, you don't know. She goes, I'll send you a screenshot. She screenshots it. I said, coming right home. So I go home, we sit on the couch. When I see it on TV myself, I go, now what should we do?
Yeah, now what?
Because, basically in Dallas, that if you're already beating them at earlies, when early comes out, before any precincts report, if you're beating them by like 64%, it's a wrap, right? Because he can't come back from that generally, if you don't generally. Mm-hmm. So I'm on the couch. I'm like, what are we going to do now? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't really know. So we just sat there. And so I'm waiting for this concession, right? Dude never concedes till the next morning. Mm-hmm. And he's finally the next morning, congratulations. And I was like, yeah, next time play nice.
Well,
that's real bitterness that he didn't concede till the next morning.
Yeah, the next day. And so I tried to take him to lunch and take him to dinner. I tried everything and he would not go, right? And then he comes to this courtroom. It's like your living room here. Like I can't show you it, but because my thing doesn't go, but it's like your living room, right? And so he comes in here, he won't speak. It's been since that happened in May of 2012. This dude finally spoke to me because he needed a reset, like, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago.
He needed a what?
A reset, like his client needed just another day to come to court, like just a reset.
Oh, so he's a lawyer now.
Yeah, he's been a lawyer. And so that's when we're both lawyers. We're running against each other.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you. So that's probably why you took him out to dinner and tried to befriend him because he wouldn't go.
He wouldn't go because this is where we live. We all live here. So you don't want to stink up your courthouse. It's like your school or your playground or whatever. We all live here because we're all criminal lawyers, you know. I'm not going to start practicing different kind of law. So that happened. And then one time I was walking around in here because the old judge's picture is still up here. I haven't taken a picture of myself. I don't know why. I guess because you take these pictures on your best day, and I don't want to sit beside myself on my regular day with my best day. I don't really want to do it. He's still up there, right?
Keep the playing field even.
Yeah. But something else that's interesting about it, what happens is that this picture was taken when he was about, I don't know, 40 or so, maybe 35. He's a Black man. And so, but he's real light skinned in the picture sepia, so you can't really tell. So people come in and say, so is the judge here? I go, oh, he's coming. They think I'm just the secretary sitting up here.
Wow.
Yeah, or one day I was walking out here, out in the galley, and this older lawyer, he bumps me and I said, ow. And he, no, I'm sorry, no, nothing. Then he goes, oh shit, I forgot she's the judge now.
Wow.
Wow. It's rough. It's rough.
And I mean,
Getting better.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
It's getting better. That was. I took the bench January 1st, 2013. It is getting better. Now there are a wide variety of people on the bench.
You're answering Nia's question now. Got it. Okay. I thought we were still talking about the other thing. Go ahead.
It's both, actually. It's both.
Okay.
She's
both. So now there's more diversity on the bench than there was then. But as far as this question, we do have a good demographic mix now. We do. And I think that it does mirror the profession as a whole.
All right.
That seems uncommon for the country at large. It seems like that might be one of the ways that Dallas might be more progressive than other areas.
Dallas and Houston, I would say right now, have a lot of people that look like me on the bench. When I first got here, there wasn't that many people, but now there are.
I was going to follow up with the stories you were telling, and would you say? Obviously, we know it's because you're a Black woman. Is it as much because you're a female judge as it is because you're a Black jurist, or I mean, does it not really able to differentiate? They just, you know.
I would say it's changing, but like when I first got here, the older lawyers treat, I guess, the Black and the white ladies like if you're a new young prosecutor, they just would treat you a certain kind of way, just blatant disrespect, right? With the way that they'd speak to you, as in the harshness or the terms that they may use. When I was brand new here, I heard one of the older lawyers who's now deceased say, well, you guys said the F word, so I can say this. They got a whole bunch of new split tails around here.
Woo!
Well, I don't know what that means, but I think he must be referring to people's, precious parts. How dare he?
That's an old one.
I never heard it before. But
really?
I was like, that is horrible.
Yeah, that's
I know exactly what it means when I hear it, but I never heard it before, right?
That's down low.
Right, pretty much. So I was so pissed off about that and the way that they generally disregard the new female prosecutors. Mm-hmm. So I went home and I was like, you're not going to be talking to me or about me like that. So I went home and I got my medals out of my my military people keep it in a little shoebox. So I had like your rack of ribbons. We call it your fruit salad with all the medals of the places you've been, the things that you've done.
Yes.
And I put that on the wall because we had a corkboard wall. I put it on the wall. Then I put Collins, my name tag, up on the wall, and I put them there. So the old guys are like, come by and go, hey, honey, is that your husband's medals? I said, no, honey, those are mine.
Well,
and then it stopped.
Mm-hmm.
But that, why do I have to show you that for you to stop treating me like that?
Well, you just tapped on a universal question to which I can't even fathom how to answer that, because why does anybody decide they want to flex or make somebody else feel unwelcome?
But do you want to know the strangest part of that? Then this is just society as a whole, and we have to figure out how to be better to each other and better human beings. Then, because the old guys started being nicer and more respectful to me because of those medals and that military experience. Then I had little bit of microaggressions for some of my coworkers because they were being nice to me, but not to them, just because of those.
People are funny, huh? Yeah. That's real interesting. That's real interesting.
I wish I could say it was surprising. What'd you say, Michael?
The post where Nia said that your IG.
I did. I was waiting. You ain't been chatty enough for me to go downstairs and check it.
I will. I've been waiting.
Okay. I'll be right back then.
I want private time with the judge. Judge, can I have some time with you?
Okay.
Well, I saw your scarf there. Lovely scarf.
Oh my God. So he said that so he says, yeah, do you like Prince? I go, who? He goes, Prince. I said, what are you talking about? I said, I am Prince's greatest fan. I was like, do you know I danced with him on stage? Do you know I've been to almost every Prince concert that there has ever been? And I could not wait to take my daughter to a Prince concert, and it'll be it's like the thing that we will never get to do together. You know, like I'm the greatest Prince fan. And I was telling him last night that when I was in high school in the 80s, mid to late 80s, they didn't have camera phones and cameras weren't readily available. So over here at the Reunion Arena, I'm from Florida originally. Well, I spent a lot of time there. And over there in the Gator Bowl, not the Gator Bowl, is it wherever the little place where you have concerts, you can rush the stage. So as a 13-year-old girl, I would go like early and rush the stage, right? Because you got to get your little self all up front where your ribs hurt and stuff, right? Shirt's all stained.
Yeah.
That's what you do because you want to get a hand touch. You want to get some sweat on you. You want to get a guitar pick, a handkerchief from Morris Day or something. You just want to do this.
All right.
And so I moved to Texas and I'd never not been on the front row. So I get here and I was like, 11th row, man, don't nobody want that because they make you sit or stand on your chair. I was like, that is not the way to attend a concert. That is not how you do this.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a break. And so I go down to the front and I was like, may I have that guitar pick? May I have that handkerchief? May I have that stuff right there? I met a crazy guy named Tuna Fish. And so he gave me the stuff. And he says, hey, man, do you want to be on stage with Prince? And I said, yeah. Can I bring my friends? He's like, no, you cannot. So he says, okay, so listen, when at the third encore, Baby, I'm a Star, you come back up here and I'm going to put you on stage. And you can dance with him, but you can't touch him unless he touches you. And I was like, oh, I hope he does that. So anyway, so I run up there when he tells me to, and then he sticks me on stage. He just shoves me up there. So I'm on all fours, like, how do you get up gracefully from this? You don't. So I get up and, you do whatever Jerome tells you to do, and you dance with him. And then Prince comes and dances with you. I was like, is there touching? No. So we just danced and then, went on home, and I realized that I guess I'm a towering Amazon because in my flat boots and his ones, we were the same size.
Well.
So then this is one of the nights when I was in high school when we had snow in Dallas, right? It didn't happen that much. And so my mother had driven me to the concert all the way downtown. We live like 20 minutes away. And so the Tuna Fish said, what's your name and your demographics? And I'll tell him everything. My name is this, my phone number is this. He says, all right, you can come to the club. We're going to have a party at the Start Club. You're going to be on the list. So I went home and I was like, how much do you believe in a guy named Tuna Fish? I was like, I could steal my own car and sneak back out the house and drive back downtown in the snow, or I could stay here. It's probably a fake party anyway. And the next morning I got up and read about the Start Club and the Prince party, and I was like, oh. My one shot. But I'm not, but I'm allowed to tell that story because, I mean, what do you think? 16-year-old girl driving in the snow? No.
Yeah, that's not the smartest thing you could be doing.
I listened to the Good Angel.
Uh-huh. Yes. Well, my goodness.
Yeah.
Dan, you missed a lovely story.
I told him last night.
She told me yesterday.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, you didn't miss it.
I couldn't. I didn't dig deep enough into the timeline to see if she was ever invited on stage during the many tours that you were on drums, but it could have overlapped.
Oh, that's okay. I was going to ask. I'm curious to know, Judge Dominique. Like, do you have a favorite record? Do you have what's your top 5 Prince records?
So, Kiss, Lady Cab Driver.
All right. She gonna
I
call
guess
the singles.
Adore. So Blue.
Oh.
When You Were Mine. I Want to Be Your Lover.
Just it's all over the place. You don't matter what era, what record, what okay.
Yeah, because when you're a 12-year-old, 13-year-old girl, you see a naked man on a horse with flybacks. So I'm like, he got hair like Farrah Fawcett too. Oh heck, what's not to like?
Right, the bow out.
Have
you indoctrinated your daughter into the Prince fandom, or is she not?
Oh yes, no, she likes him. She likes him. She does like him. And so, like, it's funny. I was at a wedding in Dominican Republic, and so all the couples at the wedding, the people had songs, and so I have never told these people about my love for Prince. And so my song and my significant other song was "I Would Die for You," and I was like, "Oh, you just gave me life." It was not a discussion. They didn't even know that I felt that way about Prince. So fast forward to when I was running for office the first time. I go to this, you have to go to a lot of functions when you're a politician, right?
Sure.
So I'm running for office, so I got to go to all of them. I got to give them $100 to go wear a dress and say, hello, everyone. And so I'm at this party for the American Heart Association, and guess who's there? Morris Day and the Time. And I was doing the bird again with Jerome, and I was like, you don't even know what this is. And this is in 2012.
Oh, wow.
I was like, hey, man, you've not danced together before. He's like, really?
You ever worked? I know you know Morris, but do you ever work directly with him, Michael?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, the closest. I think the only time I talked to him twice. The first time was on the set of Graffiti Bridge. He said, yeah, I heard you tapping, man. You sound great on them drums there, brother. Oh, thanks, Morris. And then when Condensate came out, by the time they did a show in Minneapolis, and Cody Anderson, one of my best friends and the best sound engineer I know, gave them a place to rehearse. They needed about 2 or 3 days, and he opened up the women's theater across from Loring Park, adjacent to downtown Minneapolis. And I was like, man, I got to come down and check out the time they're going to be rehearsing. And I've known Bean for years. And, I met Jesse, so on and so forth. So I knew some of those cats. Jerome used to come through Bunkers from time to time, Dan, and just, clown. Actually, one night he hit on my ex-wife. He didn't know it was my wife. And I walked up and said, what you doing, man? He said, I was talking to this lovely right here. Yeah, her last name is.
You better stop talking to her.
Yeah. But,
and I believe 777-9311 came out of my car last week.
That's so funny. The time is like Frankenstein's monster. I don't think Prince realized what he was doing. He put together something that, he put together a beast that turned on him.
The first time I ever saw him, Roger Troutman opened for him.
Ooh.
Roger Troutman.
I know. I said, ooh, not ooh.
Yeah, I was like, why is he wearing fishnet and a little thong? And I'm already on the front row, and I'm like, I didn't come for this part.
You talking about Roger's part?
Yeah, was it Troutman? Yeah, with his butt out. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Wait, you saying Roger Troutman had his butt out?
Yeah, he had a thong on. Go on your phone and Google Roger Troutman with thong and fishnets.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to see that.
I'm Googling it though. I'm following.
I was like young, and I was like, "What is he doing? Oh my God!"
Well, wait a minute. Then what did Prince come on wearing then?
That's different. I signed up for that part.
Okay, you didn't sign up for Roger. If I gotta see anybody half naked, it better be Prince.
Yeah, wow. I signed up for that.
All right.
Well, before we get back into the questions for the judge, did you have any Prince questions for Michael since he opened the door for you?
No, I just have so much love and affection for Prince. I just will leave it right there.
That's all right. That's fantastic. The judge
I just really wish I could have taken my daughter to a Prince concert. Like, he's the reason why that little girl knows how to rush the stage. Because I said, you know how to do this right. Let me show you something. So I taught her how to rush the stage at 13. Arts.
Yeah. The judge likes to party.
Oh, now I like to watch other people do that.
Oh, why? That's all right.
That's true. I've gotten to the point where I like, go find a seat somewhere behind the soundboard where you can like hear what they're hearing and sit in the back and not have to worry about the crowds knocking you over and stuff like that. I've gotten to that point. When I was younger, I liked being right up by the stage.
Yeah.
The stages are different though, they're different. Like, I went to see the Jonas Brothers, not because I want to, but I went to see the Jonas Brothers in December, and there's like this interesting mosh pit that's not a mosh pit. It's a stand politely and say, look how fancy I am in this pit.
Michael, didn't you tour with the Jonas Brothers too?
No, just one of them.
Oh, okay. Just Nick Jonas.
So I have a friend from high school that drives the rock band bus for them. He drives a lot of rock band buses, but so I didn't know, sometimes you don't know what happens with some of your high school friends, So we were all going to meet someone. They said, where can Clarence park the bus? And I said, why does Clarence drive a bus? He had 2 parents. Why does he drive the bus? What in the heck? They said, no, the rock band bus, you fool. So Clarence is quite a successful man with his rock band buses. You might have met him before.
Okay.
So he goes the Jonas Brothers around now.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there's anything wrong with driving the regular bus either, but
no, but when you're your little kid mind, I was like, he had 2 parents. My parents were divorced. He had 2 parents. Why is he driving that bus? Like, and
he should be doing better for himself.
Well, he used to have these parties where he charged everybody $5 to come over his house and have something to eat and get a glass of beer out of a keg, back in the 80s. And he's an entrepreneur. He's got his hustle. So I was like, I don't get it.
I don't know. Some of the city bus drivers here make 6 figures.
Oh, wow.
It was a big scandal.
Wait, where do you live? I forgot. I'm sorry.
Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, you know what? I just had some cheese curds the other day. Mm-hmm. Not that that's all you do, but I'm just saying.
That's about all we do.
I know. I have a friend from Madison, and she'd always bring them to me. And so they're like so popular. Like, I had them at the movies the other day.
I'm trying to convince my wife, because my wife is not here. It's not from here. My wife is a DC girl. I'm trying to convince her that cheese curds are worth eating, and she doesn't get it. She's like, why do they sweet?
And when they fry them too and give you some Chipotle barbecue ranch, oh my God.
How much string cheese have you eaten in your life, Dan Spiffy Neuman?
Not so much the string cheese, definitely cheese in general, though. I mean, in Wisconsin, we'll put extra cheese on everything.
That's your jam, yeah.
It's just, none of us go to the bathroom here. It's just, it's just extra cheese. Everything has a mountain of cheese.
You keep it all inside.
So, and I think we probably got enough Wisconsin folks in the comments. See, I don't know. See, Canada. I tried.
Why is it gravy? What is that like?
It's poutine. It's from Canada. I don't know. It didn't do anything for me. Michael, have you had poutine?
Yeah, love it. There's a place in Minneapolis called the Anchor. Sorry, what's that, Judge?
That's what you call. Okay, I got it. Thank you, whoever wrote. Mark, thank you.
Yes,
I'm gonna get that.
There's a place called the Anchor over kind of by where the rehearsal space is at.
Yeah, you treated us to some food from Anchor.
Yes, that fish was from the Anchor, but they also do cheese curds with fries and gravy, and oh man, it's incredible.
I'm gonna have that this weekend. I'm gonna find a place that makes that.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah, it's well known enough. It's regional to Canada, but it's it's crossed over. It's just like you can find I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example of something.
That sounds so good. Like, I love food. Like, there's a big girl in here.
Is you in Dallas? Okay. What did they, man? I was rehearsing there for a week with Nick Jonas. The restaurant situation, maybe we might have been in the wrong part of town.
What hotel were you in? I'll tell you what part of town you're in.
Oh, shucks. I can't even remember, but it had a really big, there was a nightclub up top of it. And, ooh, all right.
She would know. Not that I'm calling her.
Watch your mouth, boy.
She knows language because she's a language expert, not because
you don't think before you speak.
No, because she knows language. She's an expert on
you can try to
language.
backpedal all you want.
Yeah,
no, it's too late. You know you're gonna pay for that. I don't really remember, Judge, but it was very close to where the House of Blues is at.
Oh yeah. That's yes. So what year was it?
Oh, this was 2010.
So yes, there's a House of Blues there. Then there's a weird place called I think I know what you're talking about. It's something else now, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's 10 years ago, so I'm sure everything has changed. But I was surprised at how, I guess during the week, it was just like downtown, just cut off quick. It's like 7 o'clock, nothing was open. It was like all shut down.
Yeah, they're getting pretty lively again, especially with those scooters and bikes and all the different things, So they're crazy with those. But right now, you probably don't want to try it. We got a lot of protests every night now.
Oh, I'm not in a hurry to get back to Dallas. I mean, God bless you there. But I just didn't find it super exciting.
That's funny because I had the same experience. I was, I think, doing a gospel music convention in downtown Dallas at the convention center, and I was there for a week. And yeah, after like 5 o'clock, there was nowhere to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you why. Because downtown, a lot of times, not now. It's different now because there weren't as many people living downtown. So it was for the lunch crowd who worked downtown, and then everybody went home, right? Now we're all living down here. We all live down here now. Okay,
I see. Well, we might take a road trip. Dallas got some barbecue.
That's true.
We have new barbecue now. Oh my God, it's crazy.
What's new about it?
Well, because a lot of the Austin barbecues and the Hill Country barbecues, they're coming here. So the barbecue has gotten phenomenal. And there's a place down the street where the guy, his barbecue is so good. It was on a lark. He owns a hamburger joint. He's like, I can do anything. And I love people who are convinced that they can do anything. This is a guy after my own heart. He's like, I can barbecue. I can figure it out. So he did. And his barbecue joint got so super crazy, amazing, badass. And then he added fried chicken to it too. Phil Romano bought him. He bought the franchise.
Wow.
It was getting too big for this guy. He bought him. And I was like, I would love to know, when Phil Romano buys something from you, how much does he pay for it? You can't ask people things like that. We don't count other people's money. But I would like to know, if Phil Romano bought something from you, how much would he pay for it?
So, and Austin probably has a lot more creative stuff. Like, as Michael's been doing plant-based lately, and I would think Austin might even have some plant-based barbecue. They're kind of hippie-ish.
Yes,
that's where I'm for real from. But no, we're not going to get ridiculous with ourselves and have some old plant-based barbecue. Now, come on.
Well, that would defeat the purpose. It would
just eat the vegetables and keep it moving. Don't mess up the barbecue.
It'd be a cheat situation, Dan.
Oh, you'd be okay.
I'd be right back on my program, and it'd be safe.
I don't want you to call it cheat because that implies it's bad. I want you to call it your treat day.
Oh, well, okay. Watch out, Judge. That's why you're the judge. You know how to work with that language and reshape and suggest.
Yeah, I think people should be good to themselves. Don't beat yourself up. You have the whole rest of the world to kick your ass. Don't kick your own.
I will remember that, Judge. Thank you so much.
That kind of circles back. I wanted to put a few more of these questions on here while we had time.
You got to talk to Carol, right?
Diane here.
What's the most? Oh, Carol Palmer. Okay, I think just letting other people. When I see someone like me or someone who is doing something non-traditional that we didn't see people like them doing it, it takes the ceiling off, Mm-hmm. Like, you can do anything that you want. No one can tell you no. Like, my mother wouldn't let me play the drums when I was a kid. I wanted to play the drums so much. Oh. Like, I was going to for real be Sheila E. and everything, right? She said no.
She didn't want to hear all that racket.
She said she didn't want to hear my clarinet either. But she said no. So I think the fact that it shows little girls you can be anything that you want to be, anything. Mm-hmm. That's the best part, I think, about it. And just being able to be a mentor to some young ladies too. That I've had a great thing. And watching my daughter decide she thinks I'm cool now, because when they're 14, the aliens pick up your female children and they replace them with something unrecognizable and something that hates you.
Sure.
And so when she was 17, she got better. When she went to college, she got even better because she got down to college and I became knowledgeable and she needed me because she'd never been called the N-word until she got to college.
Ooh, wow. So
when she went to college in Kansas, because in Dallas, I think people are, you're the color of your parents' money. That's what color your skin is.
Well,
but when she got to Kansas, unless you're an athlete, and that's what you are. If you're black, that's what you're the N-word. If you're not an athlete. So that happened to her, and it was very shocking and upsetting and very tumultuous for our entire family. And then she decided she wanted to be, instead of a psychologist, she wanted to be a lawyer, and she wanted to be a civil rights lawyer. So that's kind of how we got to our first year of law school. And so now I see her in her first month and a half of law school here. She loves it, but it's hard. And she's looking like, man, you did that when I was 4 years old and you took good care of me and you still, did this and passed the bar. And so she brings me gifts. I was telling this last night to Spiffy. I was like, yeah, she brings me gifts. She's like calls me and goes, Mom, what kind of cheesecake would you like? I'm at the cheesecake plant, so-and-so. Or she brought me this really delicious cake that's my favorite without asking. And I was like, oh, I love it so much. And she's like, I know. And I said, can I ask you something? She's like, what? I said, I think that you're bringing me these things because you think that how did I do this with you? If it's hard for you and you got nothing else to do but study and be a kid and not pay your rent, what's it like being a grown lady paying your rent with a 4-year-old kid and trying to make these grades? She goes, I think I am doing it subconsciously. I said, because the struggle's real. She says, yeah. I said, I appreciate these struggle gifts. Keep on bringing them.
Yeah, okay. Well, at least she's trying to pay it back. She's trying to pay back in her own way. That's all right. She acknowledges the sacrifices you made for her.
That's what I'm saying about being a female lawyer and a female judge. Like to watch my kid go, huh? And so if I walk by, she goes, there's my mom.
Yes, that's all right. See, I guess we inadvertently, Dan Spiffy Neuman, we showcase Black excellence on this show. And so it's kind of, it's fitting that the judge just shared that story because I feel like we've exposed a lot of really intelligent, ambitious, driven Black women on this show. And I feel like it's really become, it wasn't meant to be our platform, but it sort of manifested the way it saw fit. So I feel like we actually are that's one of the most significant ways I think we contribute just as an entity, as a thing,
I appreciate it for sure. I was hoping she would jump on here, but who knows what she's doing. She works too. I couldn't get her to not do that, but she has a job that, like, the ABA allows you to work 20 hours a week before you get out of whack with them. So she likes working, and so yeah, we pay her bills, but I appreciate the fact that she works a little bit and she doesn't ask me for much money every now and then. Sometimes.
That's incredibly impressive that she doesn't necessarily, like, she's going to law school and has the resources to not work, but chooses to. What kind of work is she doing?
She works at a fitness center kind of place.
Okay. So it's not directly related, but it's just for the sake of being productive and taking care of things herself.
She worked there when she came home from Kansas because of that whole racial stuff. She went to community college for a year and she got this job. Then she went to University of North Texas and she still had this job. Then she did a master's program and she still had this job. So it's just what she does. And she's like, I make it work. I like my job. I want to have some money and not have you and Dad have to give me money every time I look up. Because there's things I would say, what are you doing with your money? When it comes from you, you can buy whatever tennis shoe, you can go on whatever little vacation with your little friends within reason. Whatever. You don't have to ask as much permission to buy things if I don't give you the money.
Sure. I'm sorry, Judge. I don't mean to backtrack. I meant to ask this before, but when she came to you saying that she had been called the N-word, how did you handle it? What did you say?
I just wept. I wept because she's a peaceful person. And the fact that she wanted to fight, she didn't. But the fact that somebody said it to her nowadays and that it hurt and I couldn't do anything about it. I was grateful that I couldn't do anything about it, because what if I had gone in there and clowned because you hurt my child? Like, I don't know how these little girls have boys beating up on them, because if you hurt my child's feelings, we're having a problem. You better not touch a hair on her head. I cannot imagine that. But it just was so hurtful, and I couldn't fix it, and I didn't think we had to have a talk about that. It was just shocking, on a college campus where it's these, kids who are smart enough and this and that. I mean, I had it happen to me since I've been a judge. Maybe 2014, a little boy called me that.
Wow.
I was at this pancake house, and I used to go there every Sunday and have food and whatever. And so this little boy, he was Hispanic. He said, blah, blah, blah. He said, the N-word to me. And I looked at him, and sometimes a lot of the Hispanic young kids may say that to each other. So I just thought he was using poor judgment and using it not like you're a nigger, but just using the word next to him.
It was just in his.
Yeah. So I looked at him like, you should, like, I just thought, I didn't know he was talking to me. I looked at him like, oh. He goes, yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you. He said, if you're going to act like a nigga, I'm going to treat you like a nigga.
How old was this kid?
About 14. So his grandmother was there, and I said, ma'am, excuse me, is this your young man are you in charge of him? She says, yes. I said, did you hear what he said to me? I'm a grown lady. Did you hear what he said? She says, oh, yes, he's just mad. I guess he's having a bad day. And I was like, that's because my grandmother would have beat my behind off, even if nothing more than to save her face, to let the people know she didn't teach me that. You know what I mean? Like, she would have beat my behind all the way off. I mean, pick me up and scream, I'd scream, and that's all they'd hear is to scream, and they might even call the police to help me. But she was just like, she's cool with it.
Well, there are those, I've heard this before, that, you talk about that segment of the Latino population who, I don't know if it's through the miracle of Catholicism or the way in which they try to assimilate, like, middle America white culture, kind of. Like, I mean, I don't know if they were immigrants or not, these people who you were speaking with, but that thing, it's that thing that some people who
odd,
like they
because he's a boy, she doesn't think she can speak to him like she's a man.
Oh, well, there's that too.
Correct him. It was so odd. And so he said that the reason why he spoke to me that way and the way I deserved to be treated that way was because this is a place where it's all wall to wall and you got to wait for someone to get up to get a chair. So I had been standing there a long time. So someone got up, and then I moved over so that there would be room for she and I, because I thought she's lady too, sit down. So she didn't sit down beside me. He did. And he told me that I had sat in his grandma's seats and that I had bogarted my way into that seat. So I said, hey, man, I am probably your grandma's age. There's that. So I, too, am entitled to a seat. But most of all, you're a man. You're supposed to stand up and let your grandmother sit down.
I was going to say.
So, yeah, that was just a whole mess. I couldn't believe it. And the manager, he was like, I said, hey, man, are you going to let, this kind of stuff happen to your good customers who come every Sunday? He's like, what do I do? He was freaked out. He didn't know what to do. And by the time that he digested it, it had gotten to a whole nother level, and I just got out of there. I was like, I'm not trying to. He started talking a bunch of crap, and it just was getting weird. And the person that was with me just took it to a whole nother level, and I was like, oh, we got to go. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So I was like, I'm not about to be in any kind of explosive situations. So I take my friend. I was like, we have to go. Go.
All right, Dallas. Okay, Dallas.
Yeah.
The kind of guy I'll see again at some point.
Yeah, maybe in a dark alley.
No, I mean coming out the holdover here.
Oh. Sorry, let me.
I'm a jail. That's what I'm talking about right here.
Okay, I'm talking about retributions.
No,
I'm
just
talking
saying
about street justice.
if that's your level of understanding and that's the way you walk around in the world, it doesn't just stop with calling people names.
Fair enough. There's a much larger scenario right behind it.
It's more wrong than that. So he'll be here.
That's fair. See, and that's why you a judge, because you're able to stay even. I can't stay so even-handed once I've reached, actually it don't take much to get me there. Now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, but to touch somebody, that hasn't been since I was a kid, probably.
I have a good job and I'm keeping it.
Well, all right. Again, sound counsel. I'm a little stupid, Judge Dominique.
I was going to say, though, he'll either end up in your court or he'll run for public office as a Republican and win.
Yeah, since you can grab stuff and talk about stuff and just do everything. It's interesting that why should our kids be good? Why should our kids be good? They don't have to. You can be rude. You don't have to have manners. You can say whatever's on top of your head and still get the best job on the planet. So why do our kids even need to behave or do their homework or do anything? Take their own SATs. Why do they have to do anything?
If they're born rich and white, at least.
Well, but what she's suggesting is that we're all looking at the same example.
Yeah.
So that's pervasive. That toxicity knows no color lines. That's just, if the president can act a fool and be a fool, then what? Why should I vibrate any higher than that?
Yeah, why should I follow my parents' rules? Why should I follow the rules of the norms of society? Why should I do anything? Why should I pay my taxes? Why should I take my own SAT? I mean, what do you have to do you can have the best job in the world and do nothing that don't follow the rules that the rest of us follow or do anything that you're supposed to do.
Yeah, have no sense of common decency whatsoever. Just decency as a concept, as a thing, is an abstraction at this point.
I know.
But who's setting an example that's worthy of following?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dan, we did it again. We managed to have a conversation that ended on what's wrong with the world today? How can we fix it?
So what would you like, the people that are still with us, I know a lot of our viewers went to watch the debates, and hopefully we'll be back and catch it in the replay. But for those who are left and those who are catch it in the replay, what would you like to charge our viewers to do, both in terms of between now and November as well as in general?
I would say I want to encourage you to register to vote and then to follow through with the vote, encourage others to follow through to vote. I mean, I really don't care what you vote for. I just need you to vote. I mean, think about it. A lot of us, most of us, even white people, like the right to govern yourself, the right to vote for your governance of what you see fit, that your ballot is bloodstained. And I think that everybody has to, whenever the poll is open, you don't need to walk, you need to run. And especially, honestly, I get really mad when I see a person who looks like me sleep on voting. We didn't get to vote till what, 1965? Like a whole long after everybody. So if you look like me, if you're built like me, you better go down there and vote. Like, how dare you not vote? That's such a hard-won fight. It's like people don't give their paychecks back. Why would you give your right to vote back? Why would you do that? So I'm charging everybody to go vote, take somebody to vote. I love to take kids to vote for the first time. Take their picture and make a big, big deal out of it. So it is something that resounds and rebounds. They'll do it for somebody else. Voting is your superpower, and you got to exercise it.
All right.
My wife just messaged me to ask, and I think I'm trying to remember if we talked about this on the air or before we started on the air. about the updates in the Breonna Taylor grand jury. She wanted to know if we talked about that, and I honestly couldn't remember. I know you and I talked about it, but I couldn't remember if it was on the show or not.
Oh, we talked about how, yes, we didn't talk about the show. So we talked about how I worked in the grand jury for 18 months. And so grand jury proceedings are generally, I'm sorry, I've got to get together with my life here. All right. Grand jury proceedings are generally secret. And so it is very rare, but I suppose, at least in that state, a grand juror can say, yeah, our deliberations were private, but I am saying I don't want it to be private. I want it to be public. And so I guess because of that, the judges actually ruled to release the tapes. And it looks like what the attorney general is bothered about is that, shoot, now, since this guy's been indicted and he's going to be tried, because no police is going to take a plea. That's just, you're sealing your fate. So he's going to be a trial. And how are we going to get a trial, a fair trial? Because you're going to taint the pool is what he feels like. I don't know if this is valid thoughts or not, but they are his thoughts the way I read them, is that he's saying, how can you get a fair jury? Because now those tapes are going to be released. And we're all going to hear it on TV, on the radio, the memes, like we're going to be inundated with what those tapes say. We are. I mean, you're just going to swim and dive around in it. You're going to hear it while you're sleeping, everything, right? So he's saying, how can I get a fair trial, a fair jury, if and when this goes to trial? Because now it's going to be all over.
What could come of the tapes being released? Is there any change in the outcome as a result of that, or is it just going to give people information?
I don't know. So this is the thing. Ordinarily, you're not supposed to represent something to a grand jury unless you have new information. What's in those tapes will not be new information because they already heard it, right? So I don't know. Maybe when they charge the next people, if they charge some more people, then maybe this could be used to get those indictments. I don't know. I have no idea what this person has up their sleeve. Maybe it's something in those tapes that they think the public might feel better about what they indicted the officer for. I don't know. We have to see what's on the tapes, and they're going to be released tomorrow on Wednesday.
But there is no legal way at this point that any of the officers are going to be indicted for anything above and beyond what the one officer was already indicted for. Like there's nothing that's going to change at this point in terms of those three officers.
I don't know. Like I said, they're not supposed to be represented unless there's new evidence. But who knows where the new evidence may come from? It won't come from those tapes, but it may come from something else. Who knows?
Okay.
When I was a prosecutor, I did see sometimes a case represented because something new happened, something new that we didn't have before. So the grand jury had a better bundle or a bigger bundle of stuff to consider, maybe a more truthful bundle that's something we didn't have before, you know? So who knows? But I kind of wonder what the jurors' motivations to sue to have those tapes revealed. What are we going to see tomorrow? What are we going to wake up to?
Because that's tomorrow, right? That's happening tomorrow?
Tomorrow's
What are we going to wake up to tomorrow?
I wonder that every night.
Well, you know what I'm talking about, just in this specific thing.
What am I going to face tomorrow? What does tomorrow hold? I have no idea. I'm scared to turn the TV on.
I know. Who knows what hell is breaking loose right now?
Lord. Yeah.
Like I was going to open Twitter because Twitter gives me life when something's happening, real time. Mm-hmm. But I was like, no, I'll get distracted. Like I was watching Twitter when Surviving R. Kelly was on.
Oh boy.
It was like 2 shows.
Okay. I believe that.
So are you real active on Twitter?
I just watch it.
I used to be, when I was younger and single and had more free time, I used to be real active on Twitter. I feel like it's a full-time job being on Twitter. It's so, it sucks you in and it's so involved.
My daughter tells me when she goes, Mom, look at this. And I'll go, what's happening? And then she tells me, and she goes, Black Twitter's going crazy. I said, how do you get to Black Twitter?
Black Twitter's going crazy.
I have tried to explain to people what Black Twitter is, but how do you explain that?
Yeah, I said, what's the name of it? How do you get there?
Blacktwitter.com, yeah.
Yeah. I said, we got our own?
No, well. Yeah.
Yes
On the
and no.
hustle, we got it. Yeah.
Right.
My
So
daughter keeps me relevant with my interns.
That's
Well,
all right. Well, Dan, it looks like we're supposed to be wrapping this up about now.
we are. Anything else either of you want to say before I do the wrap up?
I so enjoyed having Judge Dominique Collins on. I hope you come back and visit sometime.
Anytime.
Well, thank you.
You got to invite me.
Yeah, we're still new at this, so we hope we didn't do or say anything that was off-putting to you, Judge. We have nothing but the utmost respect for you and what you've chosen to do for the rest of us.
So maybe sometime we could talk about Veterans Court if I come back.
Yeah, we were going to talk about that, and absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, next week is what I've taken to calling. Michael can rename it if he's got a better idea.
What do you call it?
Musipolitics Classic, which is going back to our first episode when it's just Michael and myself, but we encourage all of our past guests to drop in if they feel like it when we do Musipolitics Classic, and that includes Judge Dominique. If she's not doing anything next Tuesday, I'm going to start sending out the link to join to pretty much all of our past guests if they want to jump in for 2 minutes, 10 minutes, or the whole time. They are welcome. We don't set a topic. It's just Michael and I. And after that, the week after that, we have comedian Abby Crutchfield, who's been on Kimmel, Colbert, and all the late night shows. Right. And then after that, we have the final 2 installments of our 3-part series featuring Black women politicians from around the world, of which you saw our first installment tonight. And wasn't it wonderful?
Yes.
I was very grateful to be able to get the judge. She has been. It's just like Michael said. It's so great to showcase examples of Black excellence in so many fields and around the country. And every time somebody that is prestigious says yes, I'm always so grateful. On that note, actually, Judge, do you have any links that you want to give out in terms of where people can follow you on social media, charities that you're involved in, people can donate to, merch, that you sell, your Judge Dominique action figure? Or do you have anything that you want us to put out there?
I have a collection of Happy Meal toys here that when they're appropriate, I put them up. No.
So, well, if people do want to follow you on social media, where can they go?
Dominique Collins. It's just my face. I think I'm wearing a hat with a flower this month in my teeth or something. And then there's Judge Dominique Collins for Judge. There's that. So you can follow either one. I would say probably the one with the flowers and the hat's probably the more interesting one. So,
okay. And then don't forget, we have our Musipolitics merch. So if you don't have any yet.
I want that shirt.
You want the shirt? The link is in the description if you want to get one. And we have coffee cups. We have everything. I wasn't talking specifically to you. I was talking to everybody. But definitely, if you want some, represent.
Yeah, get the judge what she wants.
So, and Michael, are we allowed to talk about what we got planned for election night yet, or is that hush hush?
I mean, it's pretty much on, so you can discuss it if you want. I mean, pretty much my 3 of my closest friends are going to be joining me and Dan Spiffy Neuman on election night. That would be Soul Asylum, ladies and gentlemen. Dave, Jeremy, Ryan, and myself. We're going to be on here chopping it up. We don't have to talk about the election. We don't have to talk about anything in particular, but we'll be here.
What'd you say, Judge?
We'll come to your party.
Well, yeah, we do. Get ready to drink a lot of beer.
Have you heard?
Right.
Have you heard of Soul Asylum, Judge? That's the band that Michael currently tours with. Okay, well, the next time that they are in Dallas, you'll have to rush the stage.
Good at it.
And Dave Byrne will probably bring you a chair to sit down right there. You'll need earplugs. We're very loud. You're gonna need earplugs, Judge.
I have them up here.
Okay, will you bring your BYOE? Bring your own earplugs.
I was in the Air Force. I always have earplugs.
Oh, watch out! Oh well, all right.
Well, there was a comment earlier in here from Maya about how the judge likes to party. Let me see if I can find it. Well, just this one, I guess there was. There might have been.
I got to party. I'm a good time. Don't call me though. Not like that.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. That's what I was. Maybe that's. We're invited to Maya's house too.
Oh, we get down there. Yeah, all right.
So okay. Well, we're gonna sign off. So if anybody wants to catch, is the debate still going on?
Yes, it is.
One more hour.
Okay, so if anybody wants to catch, you can catch the first half of our show and the second half of the debate, and hopefully the debate is convincing these so-called undecided voters. I don't know who could possibly be undecided at this point, but hopefully it's convincing them to come to the side of the angels. So.
Well,
angels.
We can only hope. Let's leave on a positive thought. We keep hope alive around here. Darn it. The judge said so. Let's continue to dream. Let's continue to hope for the best. It's important. Right. Energy makes a difference.
For real.
Uh-huh. We're more than just, what we can touch with our hands. It's, we have more power than we choose to admit to ourselves.
Right.
I liked what the judge said when I asked her if there was essentially any hope for any number of the things facing our judicial system right now or our government right now, and she basically said, I'm not going to speak too negatively because I want to keep some optimism. I don't. You said it better than I did, sure. But
we have to be optimistic. I just think the power of collective goodwill is amazing. Have you ever been in a room and felt that, like when you're not sure it's going to work out right, or if you don't know the words to a song, or you don't know something, but the power of collective goodwill, the people wishing you to do well, it's like they will you to do well, and it happens.
Yeah. You don't have to accept all that negativity. You don't. We're powerful.
For sure.
If we
powerful November 3rd too.
Yeah. Show your positivity.
Well, thank you.
I hope I see you guys again soon.
Yeah. Well, like I said, feel free to drop in next week. Otherwise, we will definitely invite you back sometime. And if you'll come back. And
now, because my grandma says you should leave, stop talking before people stop listening, and you should leave before they get kicked out.
Well, there it is.
I'm going to end the broadcast then. Thank you guys so much.
Remember that advice, Dan Spiffy Neuman, with your 20-minute commercials for the episode and whatnot.
Okay. Oh, no, that's it. She was out quicker than.
He said,
okay.
Go ahead, Josh.
Okay. Well,